This is Founders Club. I'm your host, Dez DeCosta. Today's guest is someone whose life story reads like a blueprint for what is possible when resilience, vision, and mastery collide. Sean Callagy is a nationally recognized attorney, a serial entrepreneur, a peak performance trainer, and the co-founder of Unblinded. He built Callagy Law into a multi-state firm with more than 100 team members. Through his unblinded mastermind, Sean teaches what he calls the formula, a system rooted in self mastery, process mastery, and influence mastery. His work spans law, business, communication, and personal development, and it all centers around a simple and powerful purpose to help people create more impact, more integrity, and more possibility than they ever thought they could. What makes this even more extraordinary is that Sean has been legally blind since his youth and is on his way to being a billion-dollar self-funded unicorn. Sean Callagy is here with me now. Sean, thank you for being here and welcome.
Des, it's an honor and a privilege, and very grateful for being here today. And thank you for that beautiful introduction. And I am very clear that you are a person of impact. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much for being here. Sean, you've built a major law firm and now operate across business, training, and leadership domains. How did you navigate the journey from your early days of being captain of the Columbia baseball team to law school to ultimately founding your own firm?
Yeah, well, thank you, Des. So I knew nothing about business. I was not Jordan Belfort. I didn't sell lemonade and ice cream on beaches. In fact, selling and marketing I felt were dirty and horrible. Oh, how wrong I was. I mean, sometimes it could be, but the best of it is certainly not. And I went to Columbia. I hope to be a professional baseball player. It's all I wanted to do and to be. And because of my beginnings of the loss of my vision through retinitis pigmentosa, being captain of the team, 4-year starter, told I was going to get drafted, it didn't work out that way. So I had to figure out how I wasn't going to go blind and be broke like most of the people in my family. And so I went to law school because I foolishly, incorrectly, blindly, not to use a pun, thought lawyers made money. And in fact, Des and everyone, they don't. 1% of attorneys make $500,000 a year pre-COVID. It's a little higher than that now. But I was working there for 6 months. I got my dream job coming out of law school. And what I realized is I would never be financially free by the time I went blind. So I decided to quit my job, go on this crazy jump off the cliff journey into personal and professional development, and figure out a way to build business and become financially abundant, time free, and create positive impact in the world. If I could figure out those first two things, and that's what I was doing 28 years ago in 1997. It was on. I was scared to death, but somehow, Des, it all worked out because there is a formula.
Wonderful. Now, at what moment did you recognize that your vision impairment was not simply a challenge, but a vantage point that helped you see what others don't?
It's a great question. When I was told by my mom I was going to go blind, I was 17. She knew from the time I was 5. Her father, my incredible grandfather, Pop, I had a wonderful, close relationship with him. I watched him go through his journey, a very strong man, and how challenging that was for him. And when I was told I was going blind at 17, because I was only having a little bit of night challenges at that stage, I wasn't present to all that it was going to mean at that point. And you know what, Des and everyone, I don't think I ever really became present to it. I've been losing vision for my entire life, little by little by little. And for me, somehow, my heart, my soul, my being, it hasn't been that difficult. I've been unable to drive for almost 20 years. I've been unable to read for about 15 years now. And these things obviously are painful, they're difficult, they're stressful, but I replaced that pain with the urgency of figuring out how to take care of my family, myself, and then eventually how to cause people to be able to take care of their dreams and come forward. So, what became most present for me, I guess, when I began to think about 10 years ago, bringing this work forward to the world in earnest, what I became very clear about was the fact that I'm blind was an incredible asset. I can't see anything in front of me, like nothing on the screen. So when I turn my head a little bit, I pick up a contrast which I presume I know is the computer, not because I could tell it's a computer, because I could see it peripherally. And I decided to call this platform Unblinded, supporting people in seeing what they can't see and to tell people about the journey and my visual challenges. And what I think now, Des, for sure, and everyone, is my blindness was an incredible accelerant. It gave me massive urgency and it made my story open people's listening more than if I wasn't blind. So, yeah, over the last decade, I've concluded that God blessed me with my blindness. Would I like to see again? Yes, I'd like to see again. I miss seeing so many things. My children's faces, the smiles on their eyes, scuba diving and seeing fish and what they look like. I could see a little bit of peripheral of a fish flying by me, but I miss so many beautiful, incredible things. But I am grateful for this blindness and the asset it is for me, my ecosystem, and every ecosystem I had the blessing and privilege of touching, Des.
That is absolutely incredible, Sean. Now, you've spoken about leading as a heart-centered entrepreneur a lot. What does being heart-centered mean to you, and how does it shape your decisions and leadership style?
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, I believe behind me is a lightning bolt, and we'll come back to lightning bolts and heart. But my grandfather, again, the blind man, was somebody people would say about him that he loved you to death or he scared you to death. And my high school athletic coaches were very similar. I was a baseball player, football player, and a wrestler in high school. I played for incredible coaches in a lower middle class public school, tiny public school in Bergen County, New Jersey, named Emerson. And my coaches were remarkable human beings. And what they taught me is the loving pursuit of the relevant truth. So the lightning bolt illuminates, it can disrupt, but the core is love. And there's love in truth. And my coaches told me the truth. My grandfather told me the truth. These are people that I respected unbelievably and I loved incredibly. And the way I lead is I lead from that place. I will disrupt. I will get to truth in the loving pursuit of that relevant truth. We have some fun, be somewhat playful, but at the end of the day, truth sets us free. I didn't make that up. Like people say it, but I mean the relevant truth and how we grow, build, scale, lead, duplicate. And what so many folks get caught up, I believe, Des, forever. I mean, people could say it was always better years ago. I don't believe that. I think life continuously actually gets better. That's a story for a different day. But forever in the past, and certainly currently, with social media and other trappings, we look to pose and create images of things that are often not true. We avoid growth. We claim we love growth as leaders, as people of influence, of business leaders or sports coaches, but so often the human ego hides flaws, it hides challenges, it blames. And what I believe is 100% radical responsibility. If something goes wrong in my world, it is my responsibility. And the way we cause leadership is all the leaders in our world are also claiming 100% responsibility. So it's a radical, mutual 100% responsibility. And we look to go forward from there while we love each other and respect each other enough to get to the truth. I'll pause there.
Wonderful. Wow. I mean, you often describe influence as a core human skill and distinguish mastery from manipulation. What's the biggest misconception people or leaders have about influence?
Sure. So, in fact, as the core of what I believe is that human influence is the only human attainable superpower. It's what causes literally everything: our leadership, management, recruitment, for profit fundraising, marketing, selling, every subcomponent of those things. Everything in life is on the other side of yes. In ancient times, the person that led the tribe is the person who could beat everyone else up or kill everyone else. The person who leads the tribes now, the ecosystems, are those that can most masterfully cause yes and compound that yes. And so for me, what differentiates that human superpower of influence, born out through the greatest force in the universe, compound influence, what caused the difference between that and manipulation, what is the distinction, is when we realize that our job as a marketer, a leader, a recruiter, a manager, a fundraiser, whatever in business, we're the mouse. And our job is to find the authentic thorn in the foot of the lion. And the lion could be anybody on our team. The lion could be a new client, a new ecosystem to partner with, a new potential team member, whatever it is, they have a thorn. We don't put the thorn in as leaders. We don't exaggerate the potential harm from the thorn. We are in the loving pursuit of the relevant truth, like what's the pain? And if the opportunities that we're causing are in alignment with that pain, then it's our responsibility to cause yes. So it is not hidden, it is not exaggerated, it is nothing except the loving pursuit of the relevant yes. And that relevant yes is, hey, I'm a mouse. You have a thorn. You said you that hurts a lot. You want the thorn out. Yes, I can take it out. Let's figure out who does what, who gets what, and what do both of us agree not to do.
I see. You talk a lot about helping people and helping people see what they don't see. When you look ahead, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be, Des, that when I have the privilege and blessing, I hope, of facing my maker, that I will not have buried, I will not have squandered, but I will have exponentially multiplied my talents and the talents of others that are the blessing and privilege of coming in proximity with at a virtually inhuman level. And that I will do this until the day I transition from this plane, this earth, this world. And that's what my legacy to be, is that I most masterfully sought to bring truth forward and to free people, to not bury or squander their talents, their abilities, their hopes, their dreams. My family grew up as like where my grandmother would lose her mind if we threw out a single piece of pizza. And I honor that. What I also am present to is while people may not want to throw out a piece of meat or a piece of pizza, which I don't believe we should, what people do throw away is their time, their energy, the possibilities all around us in a non-stop, completely insane way. So I want to be somebody who closes the leakage of lives of humans so we lead one of growth and exponentiality instead of leakage and hemorrhaging of possibility.
Absolutely. So well said. Wonderful, Sean. All right. What is one trend or emerging idea that genuinely excites you right now?
Oof, Des, we've launched a company called ACTi. I mean, everybody and their cousin is in the AI space now, but we legitimately believe at Unblinded ACTi that we have the top yes-causing agents. There's like agents that know things, and there's agents that do things. And of course, if I'm remaining consistent, if yes causing is the only human attainable superpower, then having yes causing agents would be the thing. And there's a bunch of companies out there that claim to be doing this. And we have a lot of confidence, a lot of certainty that we're way ahead of that game. And our agents are built on integrity. They're built on the unblinded formula, and they are in conversation. They are being deployed. We've had more than 40,000 phone calls that our agents have been a part of. We had a recent event called A Man in the Arena. I had the blessing and privilege of speaking in between Grant Cardone and David Goggins. And leading up to that event, they were worked on it for 3 months. Our sales agents caused 25% of the audience in a day and a half of what they did with humans in 3 months. So we are at the precipice of the next evolution of AI. We call it ACTi, AI plus the unblinded formula plus our mastery of it. And we are passionately driven into this area because everything happens after yes. And if we're going to have agents causing all the yeses, all those things, leadership, management, marketing, recruitment, fundraising, for profit, not for profit, marketing, selling, all of it, we have solved for the holy grail of things and creating human freedom. This is something that is nonstop with our ACTi team, the emerging group that we have there. We have a very live conversation with some of the biggest names in personal development right now about taking some of their audience and lead structures and causing our agents to work with people to move forward to Integris Yes. So this is something I'm incredibly excited about because it's the unblinded formula, but now in AI form through ACTi, which is this exponential accelerant of bringing our work forward.
Wonderful, Sean. Wow, you've really, created formulas in so many different areas and spaces, now AI. What would you say across your entire journey of your career is one strategy that has meaningfully helped you grow and advance in certain ways. It could be your career, it could be your personal
Sure.
life. And how did you apply it? What does that look like?
Yeah, so Des, Einstein said make it as simple as possible, but not simpler. So we have a fun way of saying it's all the same thing, one of our favorite sayings. So I can answer that question really simply. It is the mastery of causing yes, one, which yes is to cause. That's process mastery. So influence mastery is the mastery of causing yes. Process mastery is which yes is to cause. And self mastery is emotionally moving through all of our fears and our stuff to get ourselves to use our influence and process mastery. So one would call it the mastery of causing yes, two, which yes is to cause, and three, getting ourselves to use that influence and process. And it applies to everything. Everything that I have, and quite frankly, everything I don't have, is on the other side of my deficiencies and my mastery of all those things. And I believe so is everyone's in the world. This is how I built club sports teams for my kids. This is how I've grown things philanthropically. This is how I've built every business I've ever built. The mastery of causing yes, which yes is to cause, and how we emotionally get ourselves to do it. I believe that the answers that everyone is seeking sits within that simple structure.
Awesome. So we've talked a lot about how to get to success, how you've got to your successes, but now I want to switch it up a little bit. What's one failure or setback in your career that taught you a defining lesson, and how did you really overcome that?
Yeah, I've certainly, having been a baseball player, was one of the greatest gifts ever because you succeed less than 50% of the time. And I have made far more mistakes than I have done things optimally. But the crazy fun thing about business is it doesn't take that many times of being right to gain financial freedom, time freedom, and impact. So the place that I have aired continuously, and in fact, did a video, which maybe you saw on my social media, that I just had the worst speaking engagement I've ever had in 20 years. It was at Tony Robbins and Dean Graciosi's Zenith Mastermind. I was so fired up. I was so ready, but a dynamic of friction that I find in my life showed its head again, and it is pleasing and avoiding. Everybody likes to be liked. Everyone likes to be included. It's primarily built into us from the dawn of time. So where I've made my biggest mistakes, Des, is where I've avoided the truth with people, where I haven't managed them correctly. I haven't confronted things that were off track. I've avoided telling people the truth because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. And so I continued in patterns and processes I didn't want to be in. And I did that at this Zenith Mastermind talk. I had the privilege of taking the stage. I was going to be delivering on our ACTi company and the concepts of compound influence. And I was, this is a very masterful group of people. I was paying $250,000 to be there. Dean Graciosi's in the audience. And of course, Tony's going to hear about it and see it and all the things. And he wasn't in the room at that moment. So all this is very present for me. And I want to make sure I didn't step on Tony's toes or Dean's toes or all these amazingly influential, impactful, successful people in the room. So I was avoidant. I was tiptoeing. I was sort of all over the place in a very uncharacteristic way for me. So my biggest challenge and the challenge for many, many people is when we seek to please and avoid, which is when we're not in the loving pursuit of the relevant truth. I know what people in that room want, and I know how to help them get it. And I wanted to make sure I was not offending anyone, stepping on toes, which of course is impossible to do. And I ate up most of my hour with setting up context, and essentially ran out of time. And it was just really suboptimal. And it was because, Des, I was being selfish. And the selfishness was I wanted people not to be mad at me instead of serving the room and the people. And that is a mistake I have made countless times. I thought I had graduated, but it found me again last week in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And I am committed to having be the last time, and we'll see if I succeed.
You know what, Sean? I actually did see
Ah,
that Instagram post that you made to address that, what you would call a failure of, how you fell short and how you felt about that speech that you made. And what I grabbed from it, what was my takeaway is just this really cutting edge level of honesty and transparency that is refreshing and quite honorable. And you also did offer a follow-up, was it a follow-up training, I believe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think that's something that, after seeing that, it was an amazing testament to how you live out. You don't just teach what other people should do. You definitely try to live it out and constantly correct and course correct. And, you're always learning. And that's an amazing thing as someone like yourself to be living out. So,
And Des, if I could, thank you. I receive with gratitude, and it's really again quite simple. It's not. I mean, it's not what most people do, but this was ingrained in me by my high school athletic coaches, Des, to detach your beingness from your doingness. So if in sports we didn't succeed and do well, but we tried hard and gave our best and we made a physical error, right? Then our coaches would have an approach of how can we correct the physical error. But if we didn't give our best, then we got a deeper lightning bolt because that was more of a mental and emotional mistake, and those were less acceptable. But my simple point is that being in transparency with yourself, self-awareness, detaching from my self-worth is not my performance. My self-worth is not any level of my actions. And once we're there, then we could really analytically assess it, just like we could assess if we have a broken pipe in our plumbing system. Hey, just fix the pipe. It's it. We don't have to absorb this as something that makes us not worthy. We don't have to invent a fiction that rejection exists in the world. I'm sure people in the room were happy that I didn't perform at the level that I intended to. I'm sure there were some, and I'm sure other people thought less of me for it. But whatever those things are, that isn't who and what I am. And I'm sure some people like me more for how vulnerable I was and what I posted and said. So, but it isn't who and what I am. Your performance does. Nobody's performance is who and what they are. And that's what my incredibly masterful coaches in high school, like just, I mean, conditioned into us the highest level. I don't live it perfectly. It stung that night. I was humiliated. I wanted to disappear. I had all the thoughts and feelings people were going to have, but I slept on it. I got myself regrounded, and here we go. And that was a big, big one. But for all of us, we could be over things incredibly rapidly if we are conditioned into our nervous system that we are not our actions, we're not our mistakes. And quite frankly, I'm on the verge of being the first blind self-funded unicorn founder. I'm not that either, right? God blessed me with incredible business opportunity. I seized upon it. Yeah, I was ready to do it, but that opportunity could have been a less valuable opportunity. It's just an incredibly valuable one. So I don't think I am the best of the things or the worst of the things. I know who and what I am. I know what my skill sets are, and I don't attach my self-worth to what those skill sets are or my bank account is or any of those things. For its most positive and for its most suboptimal. Last thing I'll say, Tony Robbins almost went bankrupt multiple times throughout his life and career, including he was in a lot of trouble when COVID hit. Tony's incredible. He's super masterful. So we are not, these moments of challenge, we are, I believe, our overall net mastery, which includes how we master ourselves, our influence and process. And for somebody who's a true master, you can drop them into any circumstance and they will come out the other side, building and growing from there.
wow, how wonderfully said, Sean. And I thank you so much for that. It's a really blessing to hear it straight from you, what your experience was and what your learnings were through that. And, it sparked some ideas. It sparked this thought in my head, which I know you're a man of God and you're a man of faith. And it made me think about the idea of surrender, how we should always be surrendering our life and our, truest ideas and pursuits to the one above. And, sometimes it takes a lot of humility to get to that point, to be humble, to be long suffering. And, that in a way, I know you didn't explicitly say that, but from what I was hearing, it made me really resonate with that side of faith as well and how we should live our lives, whether it be in our professional or personal lives. Hmm.
Amen, Des. Fully aligned. Said differently, I pray every day, I'll call it God. People can call it what they do, but I
Yes.
pray every day and just say, guide me, show me. And I
Yeah.
would never do another thing on social media. I would sell the things, I would give things away if that's what I believe God wanted me to do. I love skiing, surfing, scuba diving. I love supporting and serving people for sure at the
Mhm.
highest level of value. But I ask God to just show me, hey, how do I serve you, your kingdom most optimally? And I don't believe, I hear clearly from God. I don't believe that. Maybe some people do. I don't. So I'm clear that I have my own humanness and what I believe I'm listening, hearing from God, but I really do seek that guidance, and I try my absolute best to follow what I believe God wants me to be doing. And I'm clear I could be putting my humanity and my own failings inside of that, but I couldn't agree with you more, Des, on exactly that. And it's just like, hey, I'm here to serve, and that's what I'm here to do, and I'm going to do the best job I possibly can.
Absolutely. Now, we really just started talking about, your habits and your personal effectiveness and how you go about your leadership in all aspects of your life. Can you walk us through a typical day for you and how do you structure it for maximum productivity and clarity? What does that look like? What is a typical day for you?
So yeah, so my typical day is not what everybody's typical day should look like. So let me start by saying like, don't do this unless you're in a really committed growth mode. So I believe in conscious imbalance. So if I could answer it two quick ways. So at one point in time, when I had achieved the abundance I desired, 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, like during those years, this is a typical day for me. Then walk my kids to school. Um, and then from 9 to 3 while they were in school, do whatever I felt like doing all day. Sometimes I go by the office, sometimes I wouldn't. If it was during the summer, we'd be down at the beach for like amazing amounts of the summer, we'd be traveling, and I wouldn't even be checking in with my office. I lived a life of complete and absolute time freedom and was present to my children, right? So like that was one stage of my life. My older children now 22, 24, 26. I do have a plus of a 4-year-old daughter, Selena. And my kids are involved and do different things with us in the companies, and their significant others do as well. My life now looks very different, as, and here's what it looks like today. Most days I'm up by 6 a.m. Some days I'm up by 5 a.m. I'm working out while I'm handling calls as early as 6 a.m. So this morning I was lifting, I was on the elliptical, handling calls with the team, the leadership team. 7 a.m. Eastern is our visioneer call. Most days, there's a few different calls that switch at 7, but these are the people involved in our ACTi program, and we're driving forward that work. 8 to 8:30, I'm working on getting my daughter to school, traveling with her to school. I'm blind, so obviously I'm not driving. And then dropping off, giving her a beautiful big hug, and having her step in class. 8:30, I'm doing the unblinded huddle. 9 a.m. with our internal ACTi call. And then depending upon the week, they flip flop. I'm on calls all day with people who are actualizing in our certification partnership program. And people in our LEAP program, I speak with quarterly. People in CERT, I talk to once a month. I have 1 to 3 Hearts of Influence co-hosting with the amazing Belle Verita, during the day. And then on Tuesday, Thursday nights, we have our 8 to 9 p.m. mastery session. And I am in between shooting videos, building out our ACTi optimizations all day, every day. And right now, I'm working a solid 80 hours a week. Yesterday, it's cold in the Northeast, so I went down to Long Beach Island with my beautiful and wonderful daughter. Couldn't find my wetsuit, so I went in the freezing cold Northern Atlantic Ocean twice, surfing with no wetsuit. The water temp was 50. The outside temp was in the high 30s with the wind chill. So I work out regularly. I drive forward. I don't watch television. I do watch movies. Went to see Wicked 2 with my daughter yesterday. It was beautiful and amazing. Love it. Highly recommend it. But I listen to the news never. So I'm like never listening to the news. I'm never just like watching TV shows to watch TV shows. I'll watch like meaningful movies, a lot of Disney movies for my youngest daughter. But I am at it like consciously, at a conscious level of imbalance. I still take care of my physical body. I work out virtually every day. I put endorphins in my body between phone calls, doing sets of about 60 push-ups all day. Many days I do 1,000 push-ups. So I am going for it. I'm living high on endorphins. I don't do drugs. I don't drink coffee. I do a lot of those beautiful physical things. I'm leading, driving the team forward. I don't recommend this unless people want to really change the world. I believe you could work a solid, 40 to 50 hours a week for 18 to 24 months and make $1 million a year quite easily and comfortably. This is the pace and speed of somebody who's literally trying to compete with the biggest tech giants in the world to have the number one agent, to change the world for the better. So this is an inhuman, completely crazy pace. But I've lived at a pace where I, as I explained earlier, have just enjoyed life and given full presence. And I do believe, Des, and everybody, everything goes from arduous to momentum to abundance. But most importantly, I'm having fun. I definitely get stressed. I definitely get frustrated, but I love the people I work with, and I'm blessed and privileged and honored to have as my partners, my team members. I love the people in our blended programs. I love them, like completely love these people. It wasn't that way 5 years ago when we launched Unblinded. Went through the trials, the tribulations of finding the right people, our people who are growth driven, heart centered, integrous, and committed to mastery. But right now, it's in a beautiful, incredible place. And there's moments that's like we had today where it's like, wait, podcast? What? Like, so that happens once in a while, but we deal with it. So that's what life looks like at this point.
Wow. You are truly maximizing life. You are truly milking life for its last drop. And it's admirable. It really is. And as you mentioned, there are times where it's stressful. What would you say is a habit that keeps you focused or helps you to reset and regain
Yeah.
clarity? Yeah.
If I could give, so if you didn't do anything, anybody who listens to this podcast, if you do nothing except this, this will be a life altering session. And this, and I mentioned it, but I'll go deeper. It is endorphin load 12 plus times a day, each time being for less than a minute. So do your normal workout routine. Do that, whatever that is.
Okay.
But that's different than putting endorphins in your body all day. You go run 10 miles or lift for 2 hours or do yoga, whatever. As soon as cortisol hits your system, it's going to wipe that out. So every phone call, as soon as I'm done with this, Des, I am going to get on the floor and I'm going to do 60 push-ups and I'm going to put some endorphins in my body. I won't break a sweat, but I will put endorphins in my body and I'll reset from all the energy we're putting out together and want to serve people and reset because cortisol is being produced for both of us. That's like, should I stop talking now? What should I say next? Like these are micro decisions that drip cortisol into our system. And we have to overcome that cortisol with endorphins that make us feel happier, more joyful, more loving, more abundant, stronger, right? More effective. All of those things from endorphins. And we put them, if we put them in our body, all day long, our performance skyrockets. I started doing this about 3 years ago. I never heard it from anyone, but I simply asked myself, like, why don't I do that? That's crazy. And the answer was, well, because I don't want to get on the floor. Well, because I don't want to sweat. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I not sweat? And I'll get on the floor. I won't touch the floor, but I can do push-ups and not touch the floor. And people have often asked me, well, what if I can't do push-ups? Build yourself up. You can do body weight squats or you can do crunches on the floor, endorphin loading 12 times a day when in between every single phone call you have, or at least every hour. Watch what that does to your every facet of your joy, your love, your abundance, your higher vibrational energy. It is mind boggling.
That's wonderful. And look, I know you talk a lot about being mentored by Tony Robbins, and he's one of your, biggest inspirations of getting started in this industry, in this area of personal development. And I went to go see him speak one time. And, it was a large, large arena of thousands and thousands of people. We've been sitting for hours on end now. He comes up to speak. And what does he have us do? He had us stand up. Everybody jump around, shake your body, continue, come on, keep going, keep going, keep going. And that actually, out of any other thing that people had mentioned, some people were saying, oh, maybe we should go eat, maybe we should take a break, maybe we should drink some water to get our energy levels up. It was movement through our bodies, it was creating that energy that really woke everybody up. I mean, this was the end of the day, so I understand exactly what you mean and why that's so important for you and why it helps so much.
Mm.
And that was just a little tidbit of a story that I had that could relate back to exactly what you mentioned just now.
Well, amen, Des. And I'll say this, a lot of times people think Tony is, some people think Tony is a lot of hype and things. That dude is a master of masters. And just really quickly, putting movement into your body is incredible. And I didn't learn that for the first time from Tony. What I learned from Tony is how to take that principle into business. So I had that in athletics. We did all those things. So when I met Tony's work, having been a peak performance athlete my entire life, I understood physiology. What I didn't understand is that I didn't have to stop doing that because I wasn't on an athletic field, but I could do it in my office, in a bathroom before I went into court, on the floor in a stall. So
Yeah.
Tony gave me that freedom was incredible. But one of the distinction, a lot of the energy in the movement in Tony's world, like we're saying yes, and I certainly be like, yes, 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 right? You're saying yes. There's an adrenal component to that, which can be really effective, but we can get to a point where we can be overstimulating our adrenals. So this endorphin loading was sort of my answer to, I just want to be like, say yes, 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 right? And do that part and only be an adrenaline. I want endorphins in my body. So that piece I really check in on. That was a big distinction for me because I was, in a much more aggressive, let's go mode from like say yes in some of those movements. But the endorphins allowed me to have more access to all of the parts of me I wanted as a leader and a performer. Final. Um, I was on trial. It was a top jury verdict, top 100 national jury verdict, largest jury verdict in Arizona for about an 8-year period. I was lead counsel in 2016, and Dez and everyone we would sleep 3 hours a night. I'm not exaggerating. Like that, if people say that and they make it up, we would sleep 3 hours a night, 11:30 to bed, 2:30 a.m. wake up. It was the most painful, brutal, grueling thing I've ever done in my entire life, period. And I would wake up and I would feel on the verge of tears, and sometimes tears would actually pour down my face just out of physical pain and fear because cortisol is filling your body. So I had enough sleep. I would roll on the ground, think of nothing, and I would just start doing push-ups and have the endorphins flow in, and I would feel normal again. I feel human again. So I cannot overstate how powerful this is. And I've never done a drug in my life. I don't judge it. I know a lot of people would say I do cocaine or amphetamines or Adderall, like all these other things, right? Which I think are bad things, but I'm not judging you. Try this and see if you need anything else. I promise 99.9% of people don't. So thanks, Liz.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Sean. All right, we're down to the last final questions. Thank you for sticking with me, Sean. Sean, what is the smartest $100 that you've spent recently, either personally or professionally, and what impact did it have?
Wow, that's a great question. The smartest $100 that I've spent. I'll go with this. This is what jumps. The smartest $100 that I've spent or invested was on a homeless person, and it was outside the Rainforest Cafe on the Atlantic City Boardwalk. And I was thinking when this homeless person was approaching, it flashed through my nervous system. I'm not going to give this person money because they're going to spend it on drugs or alcohol. And I felt convicted by God. And I thought of all the blessings that God has bestowed upon me that I squander. And I gave the money to that person. I shot a video about it. And I simply said, like, who am I to judge? Because if God judged me, I would never receive another blessing or opportunity because of all that I've squandered. If this person was going to use that $100 to go buy drugs or alcohol, that's between him and God. That is not for me to judge because God has provided so much abundance, so much forgiveness to me for all of my failings that I am not going to judge another human being. And for me, I'm blessed to say $100 is not a lot of money. And for that person, it could be life altering. And if that life altering was that person bought the drugs they needed to survive for a couple more days and not be in withdrawal, then I'm not going to judge it. I hope it wasn't for that, but whatever it was for, I trust God and I will try to, the best I can, as flawed as I am, to live like God and not judge people and try to provide forgiveness and opportunity. All boundaries, but
Right.
forgiveness and opportunity as God forgives me and provides opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's a something that a lot of people, I myself as well, have to or have encountered that thought of, should I give this person this money, knowing that they may take a different direction of it? And I've definitely had that thought cross my mind. But you're completely right. Who are we to judge? Because as you mentioned too, They could be using it for something good, they could be using it for something bad, but it's our act of giving, and then the rest is handled not by us because we are not God. Well, thank you, Sean. I have one more question for you. If you could offer a piece of advice to your younger self at the start of your journey, what would it be and why?
100% Des, and I mentioned it earlier, it would be to tell people the truth that with empathy and respect and precision and directness, because when we lie to people, my family was a culture of love, but also avoidance and pleasing, which includes lying to people. What's wrong? Nothing. When things were wrong and things built up and problems occurred, it would be telling people the truth of what was on my heart and not seeking, not mistaking avoidance and pleasing for being nice and kind, because I now know that pleasing and avoiding is not kind. It is not nice when we are in like real proximity regular with people. I mean, maybe if you're on a subway train and, there's somebody who's, I don't know, smelling badly or something. I don't know that it's my place to say that. I don't know them well enough. But if I did, and if I had that kind of problem, I would want somebody to tell me. Right. So it is not mistaking pleasing avoidance for kindness and realizing that we're breaking our integrity and we're really caring more about protecting ourselves from somebody being mad at us than serving people. And remember, I didn't just say precision and directness, I said empathy, respect, precision and directness. We call it being irked. I would be a lot more, I was very empathetic and respectful in almost all situations in my life, almost all, but I would have increased with my younger self my precision and my directness. Yes.
Sean Callagy, thank you so much for your time today. We reached the end of this episode. I want to thank you so much for all of the golden nuggets that you shared with us, for elaborating on your story and providing so much value to everybody every single day of your life. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege, and God bless you and everyone here. Thank you.
God bless you.